So stick around to the end to learn all of our tips and tricks that we have in store for you today. We won't be able to fasten this cord with a single staple, but by folding the cord back on itself and adding a couple more staples, it'll keep it from slipping. Before using our bench grinder, we want to make sure that the stone is square. We can square it off with the help of this angle grinder. We lost the slider to this utility knife. Let's make a new one using a bolt, a washer, and a wing nut. Now our blade won't fall out. This is a really cool and effective way to make a spring. We can use these 2 toothbrushes to make a bike chain brush. We'll fill this syringe with oil, and now we can lubricate our bike chain. By marking out the corners like so, we can attach these 2 pieces together with a miter joint, even though they are 2 different sizes. We can make a small wire brush by using this bit of steel wire. Just add a bit of shrink wrap tubing and spread out the strands. Use this to get into hard to reach places. Here's a quick way to make holes in plastic and in foam. We'll attach a bolt to this round fitting and then insert it into our soldering iron. Now we'll heat it up and press it into the tubing. Our scissors are a bit dull. We can use this mug to sharpen the blades. Instead of cutting these wires normally, we can make a little modification to our pliers. Secure the pliers in a vise and grind out the notch on the sides of the jaws like so. Now we can cut these wires without dulling the blade. This is a homemade drill guide. It's highly recommended to keep our drill perpendicular. Let's heat up the snap blade and use some pliers to bend it in half. Make some incisions at the end of this post and set the blade inside. Secure it with a washer and a screw. Now we can pass wires through the blade to remove the plastic. If you pass a cord through the center of this bolt like so, gravity will make sure that the rope gives you a vertical level. We can drill a small hole through this nut and then screw it onto this bolt. Now we can remove a metal pin from this binder clip and clip it onto the nut. Now we can hang our rope by passing it through the clip. Our next project will be a torch. We'll need some PVC, a spigot, and some gauze. Fill the PVC with kerosene and insert the gauze. Now when we light it, we can twist the spigot handle to adjust the flame. We need to shred lots of weeds from our garden. Let's make something that'll help us do that. We'll cut the saw blade into a rectangular shape and then attach it to our angle grinder. Next, we'll cut out a hole in this barrel and place the angle grinder inside. Now, we just push the weeds into the barrel. Instead of trying to remember a bunch of fancy knots, sometimes we can just use zip ties. We can use our tripod in a new way. By attaching our drill to the bottom of this tripod, and by attaching a foam clip into the drill, we can get some interesting 360-degree shots. Trash bags can be tedious to secure, but by adding 2 clips to both sides of the trash can, the bag will stay put. Using electrical tape to keep this switch turned off isn't sufficient. Instead, we'll use the handles from this binder clip. To more easily install snow chains, we can use a brick. Lay out the chains with the brick placed in the center and then drive onto the brick. Connect the chains and then drive off. We don't want to strip this screw, so we can use double-sided tape onto our drill bit to get better grip. Before getting started painting, it might be a good idea to wrap masking tape around the brush to keep it clean. Then when we're finished, we can remove the masking tape. By heating up this nut and bolt, we can press it into this fitting and flatten the other side. Now we can tighten this nut with our bare hands. Wood clamps can also act as an excellent marking gauge. A nail can be used to mark the center of this board to cut out larger holes. We can shave out a small notch in our pliers to help us attach rivets. Place a bearing, binder clip, and another bearing onto this bolt. Then we'll place our utility knife into this binder clip. We've successfully built a little guide for our utility knife. If we install these wire clips, with the clips facing the opposite direction, these can act as clips for our drill bits. When wrapping two wires together, here's a good way to do it. Fold one of the wires back on itself, and then the other wire will pass through the bend and around the folded wire. This gives us a nice and secure wrap. We want to cut this plastic trim in such a way that it wraps around the post. To do this, we'll first mark out the width of the trim around the post. Then, we'll cut out triangles to the inner sides of the trim. We'll do this for each corner. Now our trim wraps around the post. We can fit baseboards at odd angles with just a bit of tracing. We can use a smaller piece to mark out all the corners. Now we'll just connect the inner corners to the outer corners. Here's another life hack to prevent electrical switches from being turned on. Pass a wire through the switch like so. And if it makes you feel better, you can tie the ends in a knot and put a padlock on the end. For our next project, we'll be making a mechanical arm that helps us use our angle grinder. We'll start by attaching these metal frames together with a bolt. Then we'll weld together a clip that will go around the frames and attach it to the angle grinder. We'll attach these two metal brackets to the clip that will hold the angle grinder. Next, we'll mount the metal frames to this large board, and then mount the board itself to our workbench. Now our new tool will help us make cuts with our angle grinder. And our last project for this episode is going to be a quick way to make very rough dowels. We'll start by drilling a hole that's a bit bigger than the size of the dowel that we want into a block of wood. Then we'll use our table saw to make a cut to the bottom of that hole. Next, we'll attach a wood screw into our drill and then drill the screw into our dowel. Now we can pass the dowel through the hole while drilling to create a dowel. It should end up looking something like this.